Yes. So I want to begin our conversation with looking at April of 2024, 4 years ago. The pandemic happened. Everything fell off the map. It was a tumultuous time for musicians. How did you survive that time period and how did it change you?
Okay, so survive. I think let's see, the survival part I think came mainly from the as a mother and a wife, mother to a small child in primary school and a wife to a full-time professor. So they had to be doing. But as far as musically for myself, I'm a jazz composer myself. So I was very busy. I immediately received a commission for a classical chamber group. So I got right on it. And so sort of I was able to do what I have always been doing, which is to, compose.
Yeah.
And just sharing the space was very difficult. So this home which I absolutely love, was purchased during the pandemic because we were living in Manhattan in a two-bedroom, two-bathroom, apartment. And we sold that condo and moved to a three-story home because we just needed it. We felt that we needed it. And that was those are were the main challenges. We had to immediately rent another space in the same building. So the space sharing was the biggest challenge for us. And musically, I have a group called the Pan Asian Chamber Jazz Ensemble. So that's a 10-piece orchestra. So everything around that had to be canceled, all that, and canceled multiple times because I had would cancel it or postpone it, book another day for the recording, and that gets canceled because of the different strain of COVID kept coming back, especially in New York City. Yeah, it was impossible. So a lot of the concerts and recordings and rehearsals had to be canceled. And then we would fly in a person, a musician who didn't have COVID, or, somebody who's subbing for the person with COVID would get COVID. And it was, yeah, big mess. So
Yeah.
anyways.
So talk to me about Lingering. Talk to me about the new album.
Okay, so lingering is not necessarily my COVID project, but it kind of is, meaning that Kevin Hayes and I met 10 years ago at on a bus, on a New York City bus. We happened to be neighbors, which we didn't know. And then that evening, we happened to be on the same gig. He actually recognized my husband, and he's Sam Newsom, saxophonist. So, and then we all played the gig together. And then my husband noticed this like undeniable chemistry between Kevin and I. And then so we had a jam, so we jammed it at our place and that evening. And then Kevin says, oh, let's go into the studio tomorrow and make a record. So that was the beginning, but this was 10 years ago. And of course, Kevin Hayes is a, really busy, high demand, creative, amazing jazz musician. So, and I also had, I've been working on the big band projects, which takes a lot of just time out of my life. And Pan Asian Chamber Jazz Ensemble at the time, I think, had just received a Chamber Music America Jazz Works grant. So that's a 3-year commitment. So, and I also had a residency at Stone. John, the Stone is a club, back then was in the East Village, um, uh, musically directed by John Zorn. And I had a whole week residency. So all these different projects kind of, it took priority. So in 10 years, first like several years, we would get together and, we heard like jam. But we only performed a handful times. And then when COVID happened, and when I was done with all my other obligations, other commissions to write compositions for other groups, I just sat down and wrote this 7 short pieces. It's a suite for for Kevin and I, and so we can use those 7 pieces to it's use as sort of starting point, and then we use our imagination, because it's a duo. And I actually, in so many ways, Kevin taught me this. It's a duo, so you don't have to plan everything ahead. You can just sort of what do you call let music happen, inspire you, and do a sort of creative a spontaneous composition on the spot. So that was so I wrote the suite, and then I was able to get another grant to record this. So that's how the lingering came about. It's the idea was conceived 10 years ago,
Yeah.
but the pandemic actually helped. I remember going to so we bought a house in the Bronx, South Bronx, and then Kevin had also moved to upstate New York. So during the pandemic, I would take the long train, because I don't know how to drive. So to way up to the north, and we played together in his beautiful studio on
So
his beautiful piano.
yeah. So how did this journey into the jazz, into the music begin for you?
How did okay. So should I just get into how, I guess, my background, I
Just where
guess?
you were born and raised and you maybe early influences, how you got into it?
Okay. So I was born a long time ago outside of Tokyo to Christian converts. They're first generation Christians in my town, and they married each other because there were no other Christians. This is like after World War II. A bunch of America sent a bunch of missionaries to Japan, and they converted to Christianity, and they had a little church in my hometown. So I was conceived. My siblings and I, we were basically conceived to become like church musicians, because they didn't have good they didn't have an organist accompany. So basically, by the time I was 6 years old, my mother had discovered my perfect pitch. So and I just figured out stuff on the keyboard, and I was accompanying church like what do you call services.
Mhm.
And then I auditioned for Toho School when I was 5 years old, and I got in as a piano major. And then I switched to violin uh, major, I think maybe maybe when I was around 8 or 9 years old. And then, I just went through the whole conservatory experience as to be a concert violinist. And I won this debut audition when I was 15 years old. I think I was the youngest. And then I became the concertmaster of the Asian Youth Orchestra. So I travel over Asia as the soloist and the concertmaster, representing 9 different Asian countries. So, and then I also became a Christian violinist to to tour all over Japan in churches, and doing like what do you call televangelism TV. I would be appearing, making Christian records on the violin, things like that. I was doing that while I also made a debut as a soloist with the New York String Orchestra at Kennedy Center when I was 19 years old. And then I moved to New York and went to Juilliard as a classical violin major. And then it was at Juilliard I realized that I really didn't want to be want to end up playing in an orchestra, playing a bunch of dead white composers' music under the dictatorship of a conductor, and sitting through hours of rehearsals every day. And was at the same time at Juilliard, you take theory courses, so there are a lot of composition or theory classes in classical music, of course, and all of the faculty members were just very surprised at my compositional skills. So they begged me to become a composer instead of violin. And I was so offended because I'm like, it's too late. I dedicated my whole life, on perfecting my, skill as a violinist. And how outrageous, at Juilliard, why are these people telling me to play music that sounds like to compose music that sounds like horror movie soundtracks, right? These avant-garde sound, and I was not really interested. But I I knew I was good at composition. One of the faculty members actually said it was the best, my fugue was the best solution he's ever heard at Juilliard in 28 years. So after that statement, I kind of took it seriously. This means something. We're not talking about, some small school. This is Juilliard. So I said to myself, I really should probably pursue this. And the only way I would like to do as to pursue outside of violin was to not pursue this contemporary classical music that sounds very abstract
Yeah.
and totally textural, which I love, but at the time I really wanted to write something that sounded tonal and had some rhythmic like groove, something that grounded me. So the only way I would want to become a composer was to and also the best composer I can become was to study jazz. So that's how I got into jazz, through Juilliard School and the encouragement of faculty members who just like could not believe that I was not a composition major and still playing classical violin, playing other people's music.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
that's a long story.
No, that's good. That's good. So what do you like the best about being a professional musician?
What I look best about professional musician,
Being
getting
a
paid.
professional musician, yeah. What do you
Yes,
like the best about it?
getting paid.
There you go.
Right, professional. I mean, if you put it that way. But I think I view myself as an artist. So being an artist, I don't have to get paid, meaning that what I really care about creating, it has nothing to do with monetary compensation. It has more to do with what I'm able to create and what I like to hear, what I like to my vision, realizing my vision. So but as far as being a professional musician, you know, um, and I feel that I should get paid more, to be honest.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
why do you love jazz?
Why do I love jazz? That's a loaded question. So jazz as music, I love it because of the harmonic sophistication, how it makes me feel, the harmonic change that makes me feel like I'm on a swing or like going on a roller coaster, going down, up and down, just has this ability to make me feel, the special sort of like butterflies that jazz gives me, and also rhythmic sort of excitement and also sophistication as music. It's the sort of highest form of music, as far as what humans can create. So I appreciate that. As jazz as a practice, jazz as philosophy, I love it because in order to become a jazz musician, you have to have studied the history, and you have to know the repertoire, you have to know the harmony, you have to know rhythm, you have to know everything else that's out there, meaning that being able to play polyrhythm to odd rhythm, difficult meter changes and swing and groove and all kinds of different styles, and it requires a lot of training that doesn't come easily, and no the kind of training that no other genres of music require. And so I love the fact that you have to be super competent. But what's so beautiful about jazz is that once you're on the band stage, everybody has just one common goal, which is to create harmony and vibrate together swing groove together. You have to be at the same, you have to be walking or running, at the same tempo, and you have to breathe together. And in order for that, even the masters are very encouraging for those who may not be at his level. But as long as you're on the same bandstand, the advanced jazz musicians and slightly, not prepared ones, or not someone who's having a bad day, we have one common goal. And in order to do that, we support each other in such a way that I find it just very, very beautiful, philosophically. I used to tour with Michael Brecker Quintet, and how he treated me. He was just always so encouraging, and because we share the same common goal, and he didn't have to feature me, but he featured me every night, and that really caused I think I had like a growth spurt during my tenure with Mr. Michael Brecker, and just learn how just beautiful jazz is. And he would actually go to local jam sessions. And one time Antonio Sanchez was up at the drums. He got really ill, so then he would let us play music, the band play, and he got on the drums and he played a whole set. Wow. On the drum kit. So anyway, so just having this authentic, true goal to create something together and make it the best it can be. And of course you have to be prepared, right? You can't suck. Yeah. But if you do, everybody will support you. Yeah. They're gonna try to give you hints, give you help rhythmically, pitch wise. You always supporting. And for me, like being able to support, I think I got that skill, I guess, being as a church musician, and I do a lot of synagogue services. I'm very good at supporting myself, making the other people, constantly helping, modulate. I have perfect pitch, so I can always modulate to wherever the key this cantor goes to, or if she misses a beat or adds a beat, I shift right away, and I'm able to do that. And so anyway, so I think that's one of the reasons why I get to be busy, because I'm very much conscious about creating good, like a solution for the situation. Sure. Rather than bringing this, oh, okay, let me play this cool lick that I learned and like sure. show off, which is also valid. I think you practice, right? And then you want to you bring in your latest, coolest, most sophisticated, amazing lick. But that's that even though I see value in it, I also, some people can only do that, right. But I appreciate the sure. The value of sort of jazz as philosophy, just creating something beautiful together. Yeah.
So Meg, if anyone wants to pick up Lingering or find out about live shows, anything about your world, where's the best place to go?
Okay, so Lingering will be available everywhere, every digital platform, on May 10th. Okay. And right now it's at Bandcamp. You can also, the single is out, it's Improvisation #1, which showcases basically improvisation from nothing. We didn't have any music. So that's the first single. And the second single, Again and Again, which is kind of influenced by one of my compositions, like sort of Appalachian music, fiddle music. And that's going to be out on April 29th. Okay. And the full album will be available on May 10th. And if you actually pre-order on Bandcamp, then you can get those, the tracks right away. So perfect. And as far as lives, I will be playing, let's see, at the Met Museum in New York City on May 10th, the day of the release. And you can also catch me in Nashville. I have a big premiere of my orchestral commission as the winner of the ISJAC Fundamental Freedoms Award. My new commission piece will be performed by Ryan Mida Orchestra, Jazz Orchestra, at the award ceremony, and conducted by Mike Halber and myself on the violin, and featuring Jeff Govan. So.
Excellent. Meg, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your story. Best of luck with the release.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Hey jazz fans, Joe Domino here, the host of the weekly Neon Jazz radio show and regular interview series being produced and distributed from Lee Summit, Missouri. We are quite excited to let you know about the first annual Lee Summit Jazz Fest taking place this summer on June 22nd, 2024 at the Bridge Space located at 210 Southwest Market Street. There will be 8 robust acts, including the Back Alley Brass Band and the great Lee Summit Jazz Orchestra. There will also be art vendors and food trucks to make this a must-attend event. All details can be found at www.bridgespace.us/jazz. We will see you there.